Hey, what's going on? It's Brandon Styles, and today we're talking about how to create a WordPress form on your WordPress website using WPForms. WPForms is a really cool drag and drop builder that you can use to create all sorts of forms onto your WordPress website. For example, you can create a multi-step form, you can integrate a form with a customer management system of your choice, such as ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. You can create pretty cool logical conditions on your forms as well, and best of all, they're really simple to integrate using shortcodes. Also, because this is a sponsored video by WPForms, if you look in the description below, there's a coupon for half off of 1 year, 1 month, lifetime, things like that. So check it out below if this looks like a cool option to put forms onto your WordPress site. Also, full disclosure, I'm going to be very honest in this review. There are some things that I think WPForms does great, and there are some things that I think it could improve upon, just like with every software that you're going to come across that helps you do something online. So without further ado, let's jump into WPForms and see what it can do and build a form that you can use today. Here's a really simple form we're going to be building today. What this allows you to do just simply is it allows you to put in your name. When you put in your email address, it's going to take away this option right here. Observe this. So it takes that away. That's just a one-click solution. And then when you fill out your email address, when someone clicks send, it is going to send that. It's going to show them this message, and then it's actually going to send you a copy of the email address. Now, this was set up in about 2 minutes. So let's see how we're going to do that using WPForms. All right, here's WPForms. You can get there by going to WPForms.com. If you already know how to install WordPress plugins and stuff, there's a timeline in the description of this video where you can skip ahead to see the install and stuff, but I'm just going to show you really quick how to do it. It's pretty easy. You're just going to go to Get WPForms now. And again, if you check my link below, you're going to see that you can get half off. And I get a little bit something from that as well. But the most important thing is making sure that this is what you need for your site. So you're just going to click on Get Started. What I did was for this one, the Pro deal. And it comes with everything. You can integrate with PayPal, Stripe. You get 5 sites and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually really generous. I'm going to click Get Started with the Pro. And this is $200 a year. As you can see, this gives you a 50% discount. Enter your email address and password. I'm going to do that right now, and I will be right back. Cool, so once you're here, you're going to be able to see what you have, this license type when it expires. And what you need to do next is just download the plugin. Really simple. Go to Downloads. Here you're going to have your license key, so you're going to just need to copy that from this clipboard. So you've got your license key, and you're going to download the plugin. You see it download here. Now you just need to go to your WordPress website so we can import it and set it up. It's that easy. So here we are on our WordPress site. I'm going to create a new page so I can show you how to do it from scratch. But first, let's actually import the plugin. We're going to come over here to Plugins. You're going to come up to Add New, and then we're just going to drag this zip file. After we click Upload Plugin, we're going to drag the zip file right here. Click Install Now, and then that's going to be loaded up. So all we need to do is authorize it by putting in our API key, and we're ready to go. Click Activate Plugin. So now it's uploaded, and over here we can see WPForms has been inserted into our dashboard. So we need to set it up by entering in our API key really quick. So let's go to Settings. Here is where you would insert in that license key that we just copied from the website. So let me do that. Click Verify the key. Congratulations. Now, before we even start to create a form, we can set up some preliminary styling. So this is what I do. I usually click no styling, and then I apply the stylings myself, because then you can make it look exactly how you want it to for your website. But to start off with, let's just do the regular general base and form styling that comes with WPForms, which looks fine. If you're worried about the GDPR, if you're based in Europe, and you should be worried about the GDPR, you can also click this. Again, I'm not a lawyer, WPForms are not lawyers, so if you're uncertain about this, ask a lawyer, but here's where you've got options to mess with the GDPR in a sense of being safe. Here's where you can set up your email, so you can control how your email looks when it goes to a user. So maybe they sign up for your email list. Well, when they get the email, what does it look like? You can either choose a template or just plain text. I like to do plain text, kind of strips away some of the BS, and people don't think it looks like an ad, and so they're more likely to read it, right? And you can choose the kind of normal stuff, whether you want it to CC to yourself, the background color, and things like that. So that's pretty cool. You can enable reCAPTCHA. This just helps keep bots down. And then you can do other different types of things that I'll show you how to do later on. You can do this when you're actually creating the form, but if you want it to set it all up here, you can do that too. And so you can even get as granular as, let's say, if you require a phone number on your form and someone doesn't put one in, you can control what it says. And then if someone doesn't enter their phone number on our form, that's what it's going to show. So you can get really granular with that. I find that most of the time these work fine, like the stock ones that come with it. They make sense. They've been probably tested, so you're probably good to just keep it there. And then finally, of course, you can integrate different payments into it. You can choose what kind of currency you're looking at for your forms. You can integrate it with different email platforms like MailChimp and ActiveCampaign. And as you'll see later, that just needs to be on the Elite package. Right now, we're just working with Pro. And then some miscellaneous things and some different accesses and things like that. None of this I really mess with, by the way, when I go in. It's just kind of stock preliminary things. So let's click back into the dashboard over here and actually build one of these things out. So you'll see the screen immediately. What you want to do is you can either read the guide or you can just follow this video by creating your first form. So let's say I wanted to create that form that we saw at the beginning of the video. So I wanted to create kind of a lead generation format. So the first thing we need to do is give it a name. Let's just call it homepage lead gen form, kind of make it descriptive. You've got a couple of options here, but what I want to do is do a request a quote form, right? Maybe you're a contractor or you're selling something and you want to give someone a free quote on a service or something like that. Now here's where we see the first kind of issue I have with WPForms. Kind of like with a lot of PHP based and WordPress plugins, it can be a little slow to load. So if you're used to working in something like React and that kind of thing, it's a little bit slow to switch pages and load. I'm sure it's doing a lot behind the scenes to kind of get you where you need to be in terms of making it this easy to create a form, but that is one thing I observed. So already what it does is it creates a pretty nice looking form. For example, you've got name, last name, the business, email, phone. This is the information you're going to be collecting from your users. So let's go ahead and kind of flesh this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is maybe you want to reorder the phone and the email. Well, all you have to do, and they give really good tool tips right here, you can just drag that and reorder it. So now the phone number is on top, now it's on top of business, so on and so forth. Let's say you didn't care about business or your organization. You can just delete that. It asks you if you're sure, and you say yes. Now what happens if you want some other things? So maybe on this you also want to create some checkboxes. Well, you would click this over here, drag it to wherever you want. So it's kind of like if you've ever used MailChimp's build forms, it's kind of like that. It's going to load in this checkbox, and it's got a really cool, as you can see, graphical user interface. Like it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on. So right now, and you can kind of see the speed of this. I don't think it's my internet. My internet seems pretty fast here. So the plugin can go a little bit slow sometimes. And there are the checkboxes right here. So you can, of course, click these two little pages right here, which duplicate it, or we don't want to do that. We can click and we can edit these. So here are the options over here. So instead of your first choice, maybe you want to get new windows, and maybe your second choice is you want to get doors, and maybe you want to look at getting a new roof put on. You can add checkboxes here. Maybe you want to get a new sewer system. I'm sure people just do that. And you can also use images if you want, and then you can put some descriptions right here. So you can see how you can build out a pretty complex form. You can also mark if it's required or not. Best of all, if you don't know what something means, hover over this little question mark right here and it tells you. So it's put together really logically. Like it made a lot of sense to me. Next on down, of course, you can do the usual with these, rearrange them if you'd like to, however you'd like. Go into the advanced options. You can either randomize your choices, or you can kind of choose a couple different layouts, right? So if you wanted a 2-column row or a 3-column row, or you wanted them all inline like that. A lot of different styling options and choice limits. You can add CSS classes here. So if I wanted to type Brandon's form, let's say, and I could edit it later in the CSS, that's possible. And then of course you can also give dynamic choices. I never really came across needing to use those. So I guess you can bring in information from certain post types and things like that if you wanted to create a dynamic form, but I don't see someone doing that very much. If you have some TOCs right there, that's great. Now here's where is really cool actually. You can actually enable conditional logic. So let's say if no one inserts their phone or email address, you don't want to show them this. Well, all you have to do is hide this field, or show this field rather, let's do that, if the email in this case is empty. All right, so once we publish this, if the email is empty right here, then this checkbox will not show. So that's pretty cool. You can do conditionals. So here's how you create a form. So you can drag around the checkboxes, you can delete it. It's got a really good WYSIWYG editor on top of WPForms. So let's say that we were happy with how this form looked. Like we just had, let's say we didn't want first and last name, simple. And we didn't need a phone number, we just needed an email. We don't need a request. You can also see a lot of the different field options they have. So in addition to what you regularly see, right, multiple choice, numbers, etc., you can also put in file upload. So if you wanted to drag a file upload over here, people could maybe upload what their house looked like, or they could upload what kind of car they had if you were a car wash or something. And you can actually get pretty intense with these, right? You can drag a rating over here, so maybe someone could pre-rate your service. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Or even better, you know what you could do is if someone rates you below 2 stars, you can not show the submit button using conditional logic and you'll never get bad reviews. I'm just kidding, don't do that. Finally, if you want to insert in a payment field, you can incorporate like the Stripe API, PayPal, and stuff like that. You can drag it over here and then you're ready to go in case this form had an actual payment system that you wanted to edit. So you can choose it's a single item, you can put a price in here, and then you can connect it up to a payment option of your choice. So let's make this a little bit simpler. I'm going to just delete these. So you can see how quickly these forms can be made. And it's a really cool, really intuitive WYSIWYG editor. So once we've got the forms where we like it, I'm just going to click save just so that we have it and we don't lose it later. And I'm going to go into setting up the rest of the form. Cool, so we've got our preliminary form built. I want to make one quick edit right here. Instead of checkboxes, I want to say, what service are you looking for a quote on? Because remember, this is going to be shown to our visitors. And then we're good from right there. Save it one more time. So we've got this form, and you could technically stop here. So what you would do is you come up to embed. It's going to give you the shortcode right here. It also shows you a video if you're clueless on how to do it, but you shouldn't be because you're watching this video. And what you do is, did not mean to do that, you just copy this and we're going to paste it into our WordPress website. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but first I wanted to take you through a couple more things. The next thing I want to show you is integrating this with your email marketing platform. So you can go to marketing. I don't think this works on the Pro plan. I think it's just the Elite, I believe. But you can see the different integrations they have. MailChimp, Zapier, ActiveCampaign, which is what I use and I love, Aweber, so on and so forth. So if you click this, right, it has to be an Elite feature. You can upgrade if you'd like. Or it comes with Constant Contact, and you can actually set up your Constant Contact. So when someone submits this form, it goes right to their Constant Contact. If you own Divi, which is the WordPress theme that I'm going to show you how to do this on and that I love, you can also do this. But some of those maybe free ones, you cannot always integrate with your marketing system. So it's very helpful to do, and it just kind of takes a step out of the way, right? Next thing I want to do is set up where this email goes to, right? When someone submits a contact form, it's got to go somewhere. So here's where you do that. So this is kind of like your back end for your own work. So what I want to do is I want to change the submit button of the text. So that contact form we just created, I'm going to change it to get your quote now, my friend. And then when they submit it, so when people click submit or they click get your quote now, my friend, it's going to say, hold on, preparing your customized quote. And then you can do other things down here too, which is really cool. You can enable an Ajax form submission. This is good if you're like using one of those pop-up modals. So if someone submits a form, you don't want to refresh the page. This makes it look like it shot it off and the rest of your WordPress site doesn't get refreshed, the page. So that's really cool. Finally, we'll have a confirmation page, meaning when you submit your form, people are going to see this once it successfully submits. And then finally, you control all the notifications. So you can control who you want this form to send to. So maybe it's your email's brandonstyles@hotmail.com. So when people submit a form, that's the email you want to send it to. You can also turn the email subject into anything you want, like, hey, Brandon, you got a new lead. You can say who this is from. Again, this just says it's from my website, but you can put anything here. And then, of course, you can say what the message will say. So right now it just says all fields. This is a variable, right? It's kind of like a JavaScript object in between these little curly braces. So that's just going to load in all the fields you have on the original form we set up. So that's pretty cool. We'll save that. We're almost done setting up our form. Finally, if you have any, like maybe this is a payment form, so you can actually take payments with WPForms. Here's where you would set that up right here. You can use PayPal, but again, that has to be installed as an add-on. I don't believe that costs any money. You just have to install it and activate it. Or you can integrate Stripe as well. So you just need to add the add-on in which you would click just yes, install, and activate. So our form is set up. We should be ready to go. Once we implement it, we can see this. So really these are the only 5 fields you're working with, and you just kind of go down to your heart's content per form, right? We're just working on the homepage lead gen form. So this quote is ready to go. It doesn't look great, but we can style it up in just a minute. I'll show you how to do it. So I'm gonna click save one more time, and then let's get the embed code while it's doing that. So there it is. I'm gonna copy this, and now we're just going to bring this into our WordPress page. So I'm going to go back and let's add a page and see how it goes. And now we're back to WordPress. So let's create a new page. I'm going to go to add new, and I'm just going to use a template from Divi. I'm using the Divi theme as my WordPress theme here so that we can create pages quickly. Let's use the Divi builder. Choose a pre-made layout. Just going to kind of pick one arbitrarily here. Let's just do this agency layout. All right, so it's pre-built. Let's build it on the front end. All right, cool, here's our page. So I'm gonna switch this around a little bit to make it look more like a lead gen form. So what I'm going to do is create a new section just like this. We're going to make it a 2-parter. Over on the left, I'm going to give it some text right here. I'm just gonna copy this Divi for business. And let's give this an H1. Let's give this row a background gradient just to kind of make it look a little nice. And then let's just copy what this text says right here. I will add another text button down here. So text, again, this is the Divi theme, really cool theme, my favorite WordPress theme for getting up and running really quickly. Let's make that just a little bit bigger by going to text size 18. Again, this has nothing to do with WPForms. I'm just setting it up so that you can see what it looks like. So now we're kind of ready to build a form over in this area real quick. Let me speed this up and just make it look a little bit nicer for you. All right, there, it gives you a little bit better view of what I'm talking about. So over here, let's add the form that we just created. Remember, we copied the shortcode. So if you're using Divi, this is what you do. You go over here to code, where are we? And then you just paste it in. And Divi now makes it so that you can see third-party plugins on top of their actual visual builder. So you can see it right here. And that's exactly what we did. So of course we need to add a few more styles to this so you can control this model just as you could any Divi plugin. So maybe I'm going to go to the background and make it some type of gray. We want to add a little bit of padding inside of here so that it's not pressed up against these windows right here. So maybe I'll do 20 pixels on each side. Then let's round it off just so it's not so sharp. So you go to advanced and we can type in border radius. Very cool. So now these corners are kind of rounded off. And then we can type in a box shadow if you want to make it stick out just a little bit more. I'm going to do 3 pixels, 3 pixels, 20 pixels, RGBA, and then let's do 0.1, maybe a little bit more to 0.3. Cool. So you can see this is now a box shadow. Again, let's make this background just a little bit lighter. It's kind of dark for my taste, so that's looking a little bit better. Now let's say we wanted to style that button, right? The button just still kind of looks kind of plain Jane. Well, remember, we added that CSS class to the button, or no, we didn't. So we would need to just target this with CSS rules. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the dev tools, which you can do on a Mac, it's Option Command I. And I'm going to observe what this button class is. So this button class is, it should take us to it right here. Awesome, there it is. And so if I do background color of red, cool, that targets it. So I know that this rule right here is going to change this form color. So on Divi, if you click these 3 buttons, and then you change it right here. You can also change this in those settings on WPForms using the CSS, but I forgot. So you can come into the custom CSS, you can paste this in, and let's do background color of blue. And there you can see how that changed it. So I might change it to deep sky blue. I might change the font color to white. I might give it no border, and then give it a border radius of 20 pixels. And give it a little bit of padding. So let's do, cool, that looks good to me. Let's actually give it a little bit more border radius. Now it's a full circle, cool. So there is our form. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this draft and publish it. Now let's see how it would look to a user on the back end. So let's open this up in an incognito browser. All right, and then a user would enter their name and email and all this kind of stuff, and this is what would happen. So see, it makes the setup really easy. And again, there's our conditional statement coming up. If this is, I guess I reversed it from the other way. So I said if this is not empty, then show it. So I messed up on that first one. But you would put your email in right here, and you would say you're looking for Windows. Get your quote now, my friend. This field is required. So let's just put it in right here. Get your quote now. And then it says what we programmed it to say. Thank you for contacting us. We'll be in touch shortly. Now, this is what comes through to you. Remember, when you signed up for WPForms, you essentially set up your admin email. So if we go and check our email right now, we can see right here that we got the form. And it's going to show us exactly what was submitted, the name, which was Brandon, and the email right here. So that's all it takes to set up a form. Remember, you can add this to your Active Campaign or your MailChimp. You can add Stripe payments that will go straight to Stripe. And it's just extremely easy to set up a complicated form. You can also do multi-page forms and things like that. Now, before we click out of here, let's go back one more time to the settings. So here's our WordPress page. Let's go back to the dashboard. Cool. So you've seen how to set up a form and how to drop it into your WordPress pages just by copying and pasting that shortcode. It's very easy and it's responsive to pretty much every single WordPress theme. So one more time before we head out of here, let's come over to this side right here where the WPForms is. And you can look at all forms and you can actually check the analytics and stuff. So here is the form we just created. I created one earlier too during testing. And you can see how many people have submitted to this form. So in this case, it's one, right? I just submitted my own information. And then if you come under here, you can actually look at the entries and you can see who all has submitted to this form. So there's Brandon, and then there's my email address and when I entered it. It would also show what service I was looking for, but remember I messed it up and accidentally put don't show that if someone's filled in the email, so my bad. If you wanted to get a little bit more granular, you could look at the analytics right here. This is available through Monster Insights. And so what you can do is you can actually hook your Google Analytics up to it so you can do A/B testing. So if 100 people come to your homepage, for example, but only 2 of them input the form, which means you have a 2% conversion rate, you can actually integrate Google Analytics to tell you that. And so you don't have to guess anymore as to whether it's working or not, and you can actually make educated A/B testing. So like I said, really cool plugin. I like it a lot, and let's jump into some positives and negatives really quickly. So before we get out of here, let's talk about some pros and cons of WPForms, because while you're getting a lot of advanced usage, you're also having to pay for it. So what sets it apart and where does it fall short? In ways, it might fall a little short. In my experience, it was a little bit slow between page loads. Now, if you're creating just one form or maybe a handful of forms, not a big deal. But if you're creating form after form after form, and on each and every page you're instantiating different forms with different conditionals, it might be a little slow for what your needs are. Second, of course, is the pricing. Without the discount below, the 50% discount, it might edge towards a little expensive for what you're getting, especially if you're using like a premium theme. A lot of what you can do in WPForms, you can also do on free plugins, but you lose some of the sophistication and the ease of creating these forms. So that brings me to the positives. The positives, one, you get really good customer service. I've loved working with them so far, and if you get stuck creating a form, because you've paid money, you can reach out and they can help you put together even a really complicated form. They're really cool about helping you and talking you through it, and they have great documentation. Two, unlike a lot of free form builders, you can actually build in more complicated multi-form forms, I guess, kind of more akin to sales funnels. So when I was looking to build sales funnels, I had a problem because I couldn't figure out how to build multi-step forms on different pages without reloading and figuring out how to put like form validation in memory and all that. WPForms takes all that away, and you can put multi-page forms and you can have those on your site without a lot of setup work at all. Number three, it just abstracts away a lot of the complex stuff, so you don't have to worry about hiring a developer to pull in API keys and all this kind of stuff. It's really just kind of a point and shoot form maker. They come out looking good, and even if they don't match your site exactly, you can choose and alter the CSS pretty easily, customize it to your needs. So overall, I think that the value you're getting for WPForms is a good one when you've got this discount below. Evaluate it, see what you think, and then at the end of the year when it's time to re-up, at the end of the month, however long you you get it for, see if it makes sense to continue on. Overall, WPForms works great right out of the box. If you don't have a development team and you're not especially tech savvy, that's who it's built for. It's built for people that want more complicated forms that maybe don't have the tech knowledge, and people that are already kind of building on the WYSIWYG platform editors like Divi. I hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think. If there are some alternate form plugins that you use, let me know in the comments below. I'm Brandon Stiles. Thanks for watching.